No. He had 29 snaps last week. He had two nice interceptions, and the biggest thing with him so far is that remember he missed all of camp. He was hurt the first week of pads, and he only been back 4 weeks, and he's still learning what to do, how to get aligned. So we rotate him in with one of the veteran safeties, and we rotate P.J. Locke in with a veteran safety, just to put those guys out there and say, go play 70 snaps a game. I don't think he can do that right now, but he's shown the potential to make some plays, and that's something we've been missing back there. So, again, he's going to get up 30 snaps. P.J. Locke probably get 30 snaps, and we're going to rotate both those kids in there because both of them are very physical guys, and they both do run extremely well.
Vance, there was a point late in that game. I think you had 7 true freshmen on the field. Are you starting to like those guys? Are they growing on you a little bit?
They don't have any choice but to grow on me. I mean, it's just they're going to be very good one day. They're out there right now, and you look at the two freshman corners. I mean, they had 2 solid games for us. Holton Hill, he's doing some good things. He's getting better. Even though we playing zone, he's out there playing man-to-man sometimes. Devontae Davis is the same way. I mean, you say, well, key number 2, he goes vertical, you should sink and carry. They're like, number 2, who is that? And then you put Chris Boyd out there. And Chris Boyd, he go out there and he walks up and the guy has a cut split. He should be outside. The guy run a fade for a 35-yard gain. So those are some things you live with, and they are growing. They're getting better. And then you look at Wheeler. Wheeler's played a lot of football for us this year. I mean, not just in the backup role. He's been rotating in there with 3 guys. Malik, he missed practice last week, but we played him. And, again, another true freshman. And then Charles Amenahue, another true freshman. He's played throughout the season in critical situations. So we play all those guys for one reason. They are good players, even though they're young, but they are good players, and they made plays for us this season.
Has Malik been practicing this week, Coach?
He's been good. He's feeling good. He's practiced every day this week. He practiced Sunday and, of course, yesterday. So he's moving around pretty good.
West Virginia's running the ball maybe more this year than they have in the past?
They're doing a great job running the ball. After Oklahoma, they're probably running the ball better than anyone else. I hadn't seen Baylor play, of course, this year, but they are sticking to the run. And you get in the red zone, you might as well buckle up all your chin straps because they're going to bring it to you. They playing physical football right now. Some things that he probably hadn't done in the past, but he likes his 2 running backs. He has a big physical offensive line. Last year they had, Big White as a receiver, so he had a special player. This year he's had to spread the wealth around. He has a solid group of wide receivers. But I think those 2 running backs, I think they're really good football players.
What do you think's been the problem for this team so far on the road in your true road game?
If I had an answer, I could fix it. It's the routine is the same as far as what time we get up, team walk, those type of things. You just have to come play. Offense, defense, special teams. We need to be able to make plays on defense to get off the field on 3rd down. You go back to Notre Dame when we got them in 3rd and long, we didn't get off the field, and that put our offense in a bad situation. You go to Iowa State, we didn't get off the field, that put our offense in a bad situation, and no takeaways. So defensively, those are things that we need to improve on. If we do that, we can shorten the field for our offense, and now we put them in a better position to score. So to me, when you're on the road, it starts with defense. Coach Strong was right. You need to pack your defense. We hadn't packed it yet. So we need to pack it Saturday to give us a chance to have a chance to win this ball game. If not, then we're going to struggle.
For whatever reason, this team has struggled when the other team scores first. For the last 2 years, you're 0-11 when the other team scores first. Does that make it more important for the defense to kind of hold down the fort early in games and let the offense get off to a good start?
I didn't know that stat until just now. But from that perspective, I would imagine it does mean something. And that means that you need to go out, as I just said, and play really good defense. You go back and you go on the road and TCU, we get a 3 and out. So the defense fired up, and we get a turnover. And with young guys, they don't bounce back the right way. The guys we had last year, 3 of them starting in the NFL right now, didn't phase those guys because they play a lot of football. These young kids, they got to understand. And Coach Strong is right. You're not young right now. You don't play a lot of football. You're not a freshman anymore. Go out there and do what you're supposed to do. And that's mean wherever they put the ball down, 1-yard line, 99 yards away, play good defense. We had a sudden change last week. The ball was on the 7-yard line. They got no points. That's what defense is all about. I mean, it's offense, defense, special teams, whatever it takes to win, go do it. It's an opportunity to go out there no matter what a ball is. Let's just go play. And let's go have some fun. And last week at times, guys had some fun.
You guys feel a sense of urgency to play for these seniors, try to get them to a bowl game?
It's been a sense of urgency from the start. I mean, every time you play, and for me as a coach, it's a sense of urgency whether you are winning or whether you're not winning. Every game is that important. You know why? It's just another opportunity. It's an opportunity to go out there, excel, and do well. And that's what it's all about. And anything you do in life and you got an opportunity, there's a sense of urgency. If not, something's wrong. And because of where we are right now and where our record is, it's a sense of urgency.
If you were to pick one area where your defense has made the biggest stride since the first game, what would it be?
Communication. I think we've gotten better. Each week after we grade video, we've had fewer missed assignments because of communication. I think that's a big factor when you have, whether you're a veteran team or young team, it doesn't make a difference. If guys don't communicate to each other as far as getting a line, making the proper checks, then you can get yourself in trouble. And that's when big plays occur, those type of things. So that's been a positive from that standpoint. We're starting to grow because we are an older football team right now.
Are you getting Freeman back this week, and what do you expect from him?
You know what? Freeman is not ready to go. I mean, he hasn't been. I'm hoping a week from now, next week, because we got open day coming up, he'll be ready to go. So we're still trying to get him back in shape. And he had, a good injury. And playing linebacker, and you have a little shoulder injury, you got to hit all the time. You don't rush a guy back.
Was his injury late enough to where he's going to lose the season either way, or is that even a consideration right now?
I hadn't even thought about that. That's something the trainers and Coach Strong have to talk about. As far as I know, we're trying to get him ready to play in a couple of weeks, get him back on special teams, and get him back in the rotation.
Skylar Howard could make plays with his legs. How do you contain him from getting outside the pocket?
He's not a guy that necessarily wants to scramble, but he has the ability to scramble. And if you take away his first look, then he's looking to get outside. So we need to bring outside pressure to try to keep him in the pocket and make him make plays from in the pocket. You look at some early games, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, he threw a couple of interceptions because he threw some high balls, and they were in position to make those plays. So we got to find a way to contain him and take away those windows so he can't see, and hopefully either get good pressure and he throws a bad ball, or we can sack the quarterback.
You expect Jordan Hicks to bounce back from that injury and become the player that?
I certainly hope so. I mean, Jordan Hicks. I mean, that's the one guy, and I said this before. When he left, he was really key to our defense last year. I know everybody knows Malcolm Brown's first-round pick, but I've said this from the start. He was the glue of our defense, and I told the pro scouts that he's a guy who made checks in the secondary. He made checks up front. He got Steve lined up, and I wish him the best because I think the things I've said, he's shown in the National Football League as a rookie. I mean, he plays like a veteran. I mean, those guys don't come along all the time. I've been around some good linebackers, and I think his knowledge of the game, I haven't been around a lot of guys like him.
Do you think you have a guy like that in the defense this year?
At this point in time, Peter Jenkins is starting to make that move. But again, he was a guy that was in a backup role last year. Jordan Hicks had played a lot of football here. Even though he had been injured, he still played a lot. Well, Pete, for the most part in his career, has been a backup here, so we've asked him to be that guy for us. And it's tough to say, well, Wheeler, you make the checks. Malik, you make the checks. They just trying to get lined up. Even though Pete only started 2 games a year ago, we asking him to make those checks and get us the line and get us in the right calls. So that's a lot of pressure for a guy who this is his first year as a full-time starter.
Coach, there's been times this year we've heard about the guys coming out flat, for games. Have you guys as a staff done anything different this week? I mean, we've heard about, that you guys didn't really focus on the Kansas film and you were trying to, is there been anything different?
It's just going back to last week. And again, as a defensive staff, we got after the defense pretty good. And they came to practice, that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday had really good practices. And we started again Sunday. And they came out again yesterday, and they had a pretty good practice. I think it starts with that. You gain confidence about what you do in practice. When you're doing things the right way and you're making plays the right way, that carries over to the game. And you got to have a lot of enthusiasm in practice, and we've had that in practice this week. Yeah, and so when you look at that, hopefully that's a good blueprint, for Saturdays. That's how we do in practice.
What are your thoughts on the Big 12 and the lack of respect you guys have gotten from the College Football Playoff Committee?
Well, again, it's early. I mean, so what lack of respect? The lack of respect is that at the end of the season, that one of the teams are not in it. That's what's wrong with a lot of things. Well, right now, such and such is ranked A, B, C, D. Who really cares? Okay, after 12 games, then let's talk about a lack of respect because in our conference, even though we're not in it, Baylor, Oklahoma State, they often play each other right now in TCU. If any one of those teams went out because they're all in the top 10, guess what's going to happen? One of those teams is going to be in the Final Four. So that's not a lack of respect right now. Everybody, they sit back and make judgments about things that's not even over with yet. When it's over with, then come ask me that question. If one of those teams not in there, if they went out, then you can ask me that question. I can give you a real good answer at that time. But right now, I just sit back and laugh what people are talking about because nothing to talk about. When everything's over and done with, when we're all through with our seasons, then that's the point in time whether there's respect or a lack of respect.
Speaking of people panicking maybe early, there's a lot of people talking about your recruiting class not having a lot of commitments yet. Is the staff worried about that?
Well, I think last year at this point in time, I had the same questions. I had the same identical questions last year at this time. So majority of our commitments last year, if you remember, came in January after all the all-star games and guys started taking visits. And the way it's going right now and the young people we're talking to, it's probably going to be the same thing. It's probably going to be in January again. But, again, it's early, and I know people take commitments early. But remember this, a lot of kids, seniors, they develop late too. And a lot of players have been missed here and other places over the last 5 years because of early commitments of guys who didn't pan out. So we're trying to do a great job of evaluating guys and getting down to the nitty-gritty and hopefully making the right decisions. And last year, be frank, coaches did a great job working and that type of thing, and we got lucky. I mean, you look at the 3 corners we signed. I mean, they pretty doggone good. Guess what? They didn't commit until late in January, all 3 of them. So, again, ask me those questions on signing date, and I can give you a real good answer, good or bad. However I give one, you might like it, you might not, but as some people say, so is life.
But you don't sound worried at all, huh?
Why would I be? The only thing I'm worried about right now is trying to find a way to get these kids lined up to go in there and compete with West Virginia and get to the 4th quarter. That's what the job is right now, is that. We got to recruit. Last year, again, I said this time, the same questions were asked, and they got answered on signing day. And they're going to be answered again on signing day, one way or the other.
You told us a year ago that Texas didn't mean enough to some kids in this state, and you wanted to change that perception. Has that perception improved at all?
I don't know that right now, Ryan. I really don't. I wish I had an answer for you. I think this year, because it's our 2nd season into it, we're getting a lot better responses. And I think part of that is that a lot of guys didn't know who Charlie Strong and what he's all about. I think the word got out that he cares about the kids. He wants these guys to get an education, to get a degree, that we had a strength coach to develop young people. And at the end of the day, I think the University of Texas does speak for itself right now. We still have a lot of interest, a lot of people talking, and it's like anything else. Well, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. That means, Coach, I won't make my announcement at the Under Armour or the Army All-American game. So we are still relevant, more so than what sometimes people think we are. At the end of the day, if you win some ball games, you get more excitement. And right now, we're not getting that done, but we need to find a way to get that done. And I just feel like when it's all said and done, we're going to get the needs that we need to have in recruiting.
But last year it seemed like it took Malik coming in for a lot of those guys in January to get on board. Does that have to be the case every year where there's that one bell cow, or especially when you're when you're not winning, or is that? Do you think that January stuff just kind of sets itself up no matter who's coming in?
I think it sets itself up who no matter who's coming in. Last year, Malik was the top dog in the state. And once he made that decision in January, he got on the phone and started calling guys and say, you know what, let's get Texas back. Let's make this defense special. And he started recruiting guys to come play with him. And whether I've been in Florida, whether I've been in Michigan or Louisville, when that guy, whoever that young man might be, he commits, he's going to start calling guys, hey, You come in with me. Let's make this special offensively or defensively. And that's what recruiting is all about. When one guy gets in, he starts recruiting the next guy. The next guy comes in, he recruits the next guy. It's a domino effect. I go back to Louisville when we got Teddy Bridgewater. We got Teddy Bridgewater the year before. We had 2 players from his high school on our team. So that was a plus. And then when he made that commitment, all of a sudden, other guys started falling. And we ended up having some good teams at Louisville because of Teddy Bridgewater. And hopefully Malik has brought that in this year and continues to do so while he's here. And you still need that top dog. But the domino effect, when the first guy jumps in, who's a name, the next guy jumps in, and then it takes off.
Is there a top dog out there that you can get?
Oh, it's a top dog out there, Ryan. It's a bunch of them out there. That's just, I can't say anything. He's trying to get me in trouble. I mean, my compliance might be under the table. Let's see if they got a microphone in there. It's always about 2 or 3 guys out there that you wish, when they make a decision, I think other guys will follow them. And I think that's always the case, whether you're on offense or defense. You look at offense, if it's a quarterback, all of a sudden receivers come. If it's a big-time running back, sometimes he can go and recruit offensive linemen. And I think that when you look at defense, if you've got a linebacker, he's kind of the go-between like Malik was to, hey, you come protect me, I'll get the double team off of you. He go recruit a defensive back. And you cover for me, I go sack a quarterback for you. So it's kind of, goes hand in hand with each other. So, yes, several guys out there, I think, once they come or wherever they go, they have a tendency to bring guys with them.
Vance, as a guy that played here, what did you think of the throwbacks? Charlie said that the kids were excited. And then on the same lines, the Freddie movie's coming out. You weren't far behind him. What does that story mean to you?
Yeah, the kids, when we went back in after pregame warm-up, you should have seen their faces. I mean, it was a while. They were so excited about, number one, just giving honor to my man Freddie for what he did here, as a player, but then to whether it was throwback uniforms. How kids are, they want something different anyhow. I mean, so they're like looking at the shoes and the jersey, the helmet. I mean, it's just, they got them fired up. It goes back to what you're saying about, that brought enthusiasm to the guys to go out there and play and perform. And for people who have not seen that movie, we saw it last year with our football team in the spring. I think it's a fantastic movie. I truly enjoyed it. I think our players enjoyed it. I mean, it's a little bit like the Brian Piccolo movie. And I'm an old guy, so I saw the Brian Piccolo movie. And I mean, it's a little teary-eyed at times. I didn't say I had tears. I'm just saying for some people, it's teary-eyed. But I tell you what, and I said this last week, that Freddie is what, and I told the defense this Friday night, he's what the University of Texas is all about. A guy who loved this place, a guy who was intense, a guy who played with enthusiasm, a guy who never quit, a guy who had a lot of fight in him, a guy who was always ready to go. Those are the type of guys you want at the University of Texas. They love the University of Texas because of what it stood for. And those are the type of players we want here at the University of Texas. Today it's about uniforms, it's about shoes, it's about all those things, but what about pride and where you go and what you stand for, pride in your family, pride in your uniform. And it's great to have the uniforms. I ask people this sometimes, what are your school colors? When you 10 to 15 years out of school and you had 25 uniforms, what's your school colors? I know what my school colors were in high school. We're blue and gold. I know that. We're burnt orange here. It might be good to change it up, but at the end of the day, what are your school colors? But I'm an old guy. I'm an old school guy. And you said I was a little bit further along than Freddie. Now, you just made me real old. I'm not that old. I might be old, but not that old. But at the end of the day, my man had so much pride, work ethic, no quit, intensity. He wasn't big enough. He wasn't fast enough. He wasn't strong enough. But look what he accomplished because he had heart. Man, it's just like, to me, one of the greatest horses of all time is Secretariat. Only horse that the full body was buried. That horse had one of the biggest hearts. When they did autopsy, his heart was huge. He had no quit. He had great drive. That was Freddie. And those are the type of players we need here at the University of Texas. So now, no matter who you play, where you play, the pride that you have in the University of Texas will always show. And those are the things that Coach Strong was trying to bring back to the University of Texas with the type of players we're trying to recruit.
So Vance, you're saying you're not pulling for all black uniforms or shiny chrome things, anything like that?
Again, if I was 35 years old, I might say yes. But I'm not. I'm 57 years old. Every once in a while, that was like throwing a dog a bone to change in uniforms. Our players love it. But go out there right now and ask any 500 former players about changing their uniforms. What do you think they would say? What do you think?
Sign me up, coach.
But you see the point? But when you look across the country, I look at Ohio State. Urban Stone, the guy's a bone. He had a little change in uniform. Stoops at Oklahoma had a minor change. Not a major change. Just enough just to,
Keep it simple.
yes, so people can't get too over the top. Having a throwback uniform was a minor change. Has Alabama changed their uniforms? What about USC?
Not really.
What about Florida?
Yeah.
A little bit, but you know what? They went to throwback. Look at the change. Go back.
They went white and orange this week.
But you know what? Urban did some of that too when I was there. Because you know what? It went back to the 70s. See, people forget how the uniforms sometimes look back in the 70s. I told a guy, my mom passed 4 years ago. I had my whole uniform at the house. I had a helmet, shoulder pads, thigh pads. I had it all. I could have put that uniform on when I then played Saturday, but I couldn't have played. I could have looked like I played, but I couldn't play. You get my drift. But that's what's great about the Texas and the USC's and Alabamas. And I know right now we traditionally been a powerhouse. We aren't right now. We aren't right now. I'll make that perfectly clear. But at the same time, going back to your question when you asked me already, is that can we get back to that? Yes. Why? Because it's still Texas. And people do have an interest in it because it is still Texas. And I think it is important. We just got to find a way to get it done and win some ball games, and all of a sudden people get more excited about it. And once that happens, the program can get back. When Coach Brown came here back in 1998, I mean, he got the excitement back. He didn't get it done in the first year, but, he had a Ricky Williams, running a football back there. He had 2 first-round picks and an offensive lineman back there. He had Casey Hamlin, who was going to probably be a Hall of Famer maybe on the defensive line. So he had some people to work with, and he started building it, and he started bringing guys in here, and look what he did over a 16-year period, winning a national championship and playing for another. And I think right now, you look at our recruiting class that we have here now, and we need to get another one just like it. To be honest, it needs to be better. Because if you get one just like it, that means you're not getting better. You need to always, each year, it needs to be better than the year before so you can continue to climb that ladder. And I always talk about Coach Browse at Baylor. I think he's done one outstanding job on how he's recruited, the things he's done. And so my hat's all is off to him because I do respect what he's done because he got the program turned. He's winning. He got it on top. And when you look at him, you got to look at his blueprint. I mean, so I give credit where credit is due. I look at Bob Stoops. He's been there 17 years. How? That's unheard of today. He found ways to keep adjusting, keep recruiting, and to stay relevant and stay on top. And we need to get back to that here at the University of Texas. You do that by recruiting.
One last one?
Gerard said last night, Coach, you want to come here, win rings, this is the place. Is he right?
That's my boy Garfield. You know what? Garfield, my man, he got 2 state championships in high school, back to back. He understands what it takes to win. And what he's saying right now, I plan to be a leader here for a long time to come. He's saying that I'm the quarterback of the future. We have two freshman offensive linemen going to be really good here. We had a freshman wide receiver the first time they got out there, went 84 yards for a touchdown. We got a sophomore running back that's going to be a really good player. We got a true freshman running back going to be a pretty good player. We got another sophomore wide receiver going to be a pretty good player. He's saying right now, we're about to get it done. It's just a matter of time because we're all so young, and we're going to be here for 3 more years of the guys I just mentioned. And that's what he's talking about. And he's saying we get the other pieces to fit with what we have here, we're going to get it back. And that's what he was talking about. So from what he's saying, and we get the pieces to fit with the guys with him right now, we got a chance to get this thing back sooner or later. So my man Garfield, preach on, my brother, preach on.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it. You better have a nice day.